Everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. There is definitive proof that Palantir has proven themselves to improve the NHS by NHS England's own 3 out of 4 case studies. And they point out the exact program names that were built on top of Foundry, even if they don't say Palantir themselves in the studies. And one has done even better since our last update from March, where we have some proof. So I'll show all the improvements, but essentially NHS England published how technology has improved their patient care and efficiency with actual numbers. The tie to Palantir is that the applications that they call out by name specifically are built on top of Foundry, which has been the same pilots and programs being built for almost a year here. And even the Register, who publishes against Palantir cross-check these programs as being built on top of Foundry. And also, tying the preliminary results that were released back in March 2023 have gotten some improvements since then, and I'll draw those comparisons as well, notably on theater actions and cancer appointments. But all you need to remember to know that the NHS is referring to Palantir is that when they point out the Improving Elective Care Coordination for Patients program, as well as Optica, the Optimized Patient Tracking and Intelligent Choices application, these programs were built with Foundry and are referenced in the case studies. So you can find these case studies really easily through the open letter that the NHS medical leaders made to the patients and to the public on October 13th. Basically, they're endorsing the fact that these pilots have been successful and should go through with the FTP contract. But more importantly, they link the exact case studies they are referring to right there, where there's a hyperlink for pilot sites across the country that have seen waiting times for planned care fall, discharge delays go down, and diagnoses and treatment times speed up. So if you click that, you end up at the Delivering Benefits for Patients page with a list of case studies that I'm going to go through now. So first case study is how technology is cutting the waiting times for patients in the Dorset pilot. They start right off the bat with the new software is responsible for improving theater scheduling. They were able to align waiting lists with other data like the staff rosters and annual leave to help both sides of the equation of Palantir and the staff. When all this data is at the tip of your fingers, managers and clinicians alike can plan well ahead and can maximize their surgical theaters. And then they go on to note this allowed them to create additional 2,500 surgical treatments per year and are able to book patients much farther in advance now. So think about that. That's 2,500 lives they can take care of now because of this software. Now think of the compounding impact this can have across the NHS and just the health of the population. It's mind-boggling. And this further hints home because now that you can take care of more individuals, they have the capacity to take care of the most urgent as well as those who have been waiting the longest here. So why wouldn't you want this technology, especially across the whole NHS? And then they go on to talk about how it works. Essentially, they have an operational waiting list that has all the information that a staff member needs at their fingertips to work with it, and everyone knows it's the single source of truth that talks amongst the system. So there's no need for, say, an updating Excel file and seeing what version it is, or knowing if one system is talking to the other one or needs to be updated, or if there's delays. So now clinicians can truly fill an underused slot without being afraid of being double booked or unsure of having a plan far in advance. So next case study, though, is on how they reduce delays to patient discharges, meaning you're able to get people out faster, more accurately. So this one was actually referenced in my last weekly Palantir video, I just published, since it was the open letter itself, but this is huge. Long-term stays were reduced by 36%. This is defined by over 21 days in a stay. This is with the help of the Optica application I mentioned earlier, which is built on top of Foundry. So yes, this is clearly Palantir's doing and evidence of them helping some more, but the major impacts of not only the 36% reduction, but this all took place while more patients have been admitted. So there's been a 7.7 increase they noted here, meaning there's more patients. So with the system though, there are more patients, but still getting people out faster. And then the system has led to 9.5 hours of clinical staff each week freed up. That's 9.5 times 52 weeks a year. That's 494 hours a year. And this is just at Dorset. Now imagine pushing this across the whole NHS, and you just can't deny the improvements. So funding has already been provided for an additional 15 trusts by the end of 2023. Palantir is so sticky, they get in a little bit and you show your value, and then they just want more of it here. And it's already showing the evidence that they're spreading this to other trusts. Then the next case study is AI tools improving the outcomes for patients by forecasting A&E admissions. Now, a word of warning here, this one I'm not able to tie to Palantir easily, but essentially they have a better AI model on now how to predict and forecast urgent care patients. They take in data from all of the place, like weather, holidays, age, the demographic population, everything, to get a better read on who's possibly coming in for an urgent visit. So taking a closer look if you'd like, and maybe Palantir could be a part of this here, but I'm just not sure on this one. and then the cancer patients being seen sooner. Now, if you remember from March 2023, they saved about 2 days on average per patient. But you'll be pleasantly surprised that they actually state in this case an improvement. So cancer referrals have increased post-pandemic, meaning the demand for cancer care is growing. There's more patients that need to be seen and have more appointments. Then in July 2023, the highest number of cases actually happened. And they said, even though this happened with the help of the cancer patient tracking list tool, they were able to still maintain their compliance with national reporting standards for the last 6 months, all while still reducing the backlog and improving performance. So basically, things were getting worse here and really busy, but they actually were still able to improve everything that they were falling behind on before this new system was in place. And then better yet, back in March, Palantir improved the first appointment waiting time by 2 days. Now looking to today, it's been reduced by up to 4 days. So they basically doubled this improvement. This is a huge thing here, showing maybe with more time that they can continue to cut down the average waiting on the first appointment here. Now, usually you might see some leveling off or decreasing marginal returns once you get a system in place, but this appears to be getting better over time still. And who knows when they'll reach that maximum point of diminishing returns, but I'm sure any cancer patient would rather be seen sooner. But all of these are published by NHS England themselves. Palantir works, and they have the case study to prove it. I'm not saying this means they win the FDP contract for sure, but having evidence to point to certainly helps in this case. There will probably always be the argument from the other side that NHS England, of course, wants to look good since they've been backing these solutions and have gone the furthest with working the most with Palantir pilots. They can keep making those claims, but in the end, if it's truly working and we're able to secure additional funding to spread this to more trust, like one of the examples in the case studies, then that speaks much louder here, because clinicians at this point should probably be raising red flags or being more vocal about it, but nothing is coming there. It seems to be making their life easier and puts patients' lives as the forefront of getting better care. Now, if you take all of these together, we know there are still pilots at these designated locations. And as I mentioned, at least 3 out of the 4 case studies are directly linked to Palantir, either through the application that runs on top of Foundry that they built it on, or because it overlaps with other results that they've published before that Palantir has worked on. This is readily available information to the public, yet wasn't too widely talked about here. I know I was a little late to the game since these were published throughout August, September, and October, and their open letters are also being published on October 13th, so that was just last week. We'll have to see when they officially recognize who wins the FDP contract, but at this point, they may still continue to expand regardless of the contract award, since they're already doing this good work under NHS England and their particular jurisdictions. They might just partner with them more and just specifically for this trust. So it's still a win-win in my opinion for Palantir, because now we have real evidence that Palantir works and it just keeps getting better.